Miles Braun, an extremely rich person and co-founder of the innovation company. Alpha sends a comparative riddle perplex box to a few of his companions. The representative of Connecticut, Claire Deely, Alpha head researcher, Lionel Tuxin, questionable design creator, Bertie J. and men's rights streamer, Duke Cody. Afterward, the four of them hold a bunch call to illuminate different astounds from the secret box. And in the long run, discover a private welcome interior. Miles welcomes all of them to a kill-secret amusement at his chateau the Glass Onion on his private island in Greece. In the meantime, one of their companions, Cassandra Brand, moreover, gets the comparable secret box, but is not included in the gather call in step. She angrily smashes the box instead of understanding each of the confused to discover the welcome. Somewhere else. A popular criminologist named Benoit Blanc plays a kill puzzle amusement called Among Us before long. He listens to a thump on his entryway and receives the same welcome from an obscure individual many days. Afterward, the welcome visitors accumulate at the harbor. Blanc presents himself to the bunch, whereas Bertie's partner, Peg and Duke's sweetheart Bourbon moreover connect them. In the meantime, Cassandra makes a final miniature entry as the rest of the gather are stunned by her appearance. After boarding the ship, Lionel advises Blanc that Cassandra had really begun Alpha with Miles 10 a long time prior, but Miles cut her out totally in one legitimate move. In no time after that, they at long last arrive at the private island. Be that as it may. He looks truly stunned when he sees Cassandra getting off the ship. Other than them, there's another Miles friend Darrow who remains on the island since he's doing a few things and not part of the party. Miles takes them on a brief visit around the private island and hands the bunch the room keys. After that, he calls Blanc to his office where he questions Blanc's nearness. As the analyst was not initially welcome to the kill puzzle diversion, Miles accepts that somebody must have reset the puzzle box and sent it to Blanc. Despite all that, he allows the analyst to remain expecting another visitor to welcome him as a joke. At some point afterward, all of them spend their time at the pool counting Cassandra, whose behavior continuously looks exceptionally cold as they assemble in a room. Miles tells Blanc what he and his company Alpha have done concerning his friend's accomplishments. Bertie cleared the showcase with our comfy sweatpants. Duke got to be the primary jerk streamer to hit 1 million adherents. Claire got to be a housewife shaking up the political segment, and Lionel got consent to begin pushing the boundaries of science abruptly. Miles gets cut off by Andy, who blows up each of their disappointments. In other words, Lionel, Claire, Bertie and Duke are holding on to an expensive life. Miles. A short time later, Blind catches Peg go up against Miles over a peer explanation. He needs Bertie to release. He at that point sees Duke observe Bourbon in bed with Miles at night. Miles appears off the Mona Lisa, which he is on credit from the Louvre. He rents the popular portrayal since he will welcome world pioneers and individuals of the press to this island to divulge clearly a hydrogen-based elective fuel that Alpha will dispatch in a week. Hearing this, Lionel challenges him as he needs to a long time at least to test clearly to see on the off chance that it's secure or indeed practical. Miles uncovers that the complete glass onion is fueled by clear over supper. Miles clarifies the rules for his kill riddle. Amusement, shockingly blank fare, understands the imagined kill mystery immediately. Miles is disturbed since he went through a parcel of cash for the occasion, whereas blank Fay destroyed his diversion in a matter of minutes. Moreover, the criminologist claims, he did it on reason and cautions Miles, that bringing 7 people, each of whom encompasses a rationale to slaughter him would be like clearing out a stacked weapon on a table and turning the lights off, which is a bad thought. At the same time, Cassandra contends with the others and says that all of them have taken her life by covering up the truth, coming full circle in her clearing out the most party room fare. At that point, Miles and Blanc connect the party. That goes well to begin with until Duke abruptly collapses and dies after drinking something. Lionel endeavors to call the restorative workforce and police, but they cannot come until moot tide in the morning when Blanc orders them to return to their rooms. Miles takes note that Duke had picked up his drink by botch, showing that whoever harmed the drink needed Miles dead, Blanc. Moreover, takes note that Duke's weapon and phone are lost, not as it were, that it gets more awful when Miles has planned the control to go off. Amid his murder. Riddle. Amusement, the freezing bunch quickly suspects Cassandra of being the executioner. So everybody parts up in the chaos. At one point Blanc finds Cassandra specifying that they require one final piece of proof, but an unseen assailant shoots her out of no place. Utilizing Duke's weapon, Blanc rapidly assembles the rest of the gather and reports that he dissolved. Cassandra's kill. The motion picture flashes back to when Blanc got the secret box. It is uncovered that he got it from Cassandra's twin sister Helen. She at that point tells him that Cassandra kicked the bucket a week sometime recently. The trip, as far as anyone knows, by suicide. Be that as it may, Helen accepts that her sister was killed by somebody, so she chooses to contact the popular criminologist to examine her passing sometime recently, advancing into the case. Helen informs Blanc of the past 10 long time sometime recently. Miles and his bunch got too wealthy and popular. It was Cassandra who presented Miles to the bunch that night. Cassandra had come with the Alpha Company, thought on a serviette sometime recently, joining forces with Miles. The company was doing well until Cassandra ended the advancement of Clear due to security concerns. As a result, Miles was seeking out for a way to evacuate her as CEO. His activity was backed by their companions, perjuring themselves by affirming that he had single-handedly portrayed out the arrangement for Alpha years prior on a serviette. In any case, Cassandra had long last rediscovered the unique serviette where she had composed out the thought. She, at that point, tucked the serviette into a ruddy envelope and messaged a photo of the proof to the group, which was found by Helen days after her death. With all of this data, Helen suspects that somebody within the gather murdered Cassandra to dodge being undermined and to pick up favor with Miles, as the news of Cassandra's passing has not, however, been made open. Proposes that Helen pose as her twin sister at Miles' party, making a difference in his examination on the private island. Helen makes a difference in Blanc finds thought processes for each part of the gather to ensure Miles from Cassandra. Helen catches a discussion between Lionel and Claire that they have as of now staked their reputations on Clear. She moreover learns that Miles is fiscally protecting Birdie from the aftermath of utilizing child labor, and Duke is utilizing Bourbon to tempt Miles in trade for a role at Alpha News at one time. Claire and Duke tell Helen that not one or the other of them messaged back because they chose to call Cassandra at different times, but her phone was off. Since of that, Duke, Claire, Lionel, and Birdie go to Cassandra's domestic on the day of her passing. After the kill riddle amusement, it turns out that Helen deliberately disturbs the party so she can look the visitor rooms for the ruddy envelope when she is shot. Cassandra's journal in her coat takes stops. The bullet, be that as it may, Blanc asks her to play dead after drenching her with hot sauce, and after that, tells the other visitors she was murdered, which makes an opportunity for Helen to wrap up the look in the office. Back to the show, Blanc uncovers his deduction that Miles was responsible for both murders, whereas Helen at long last finds the ruddy envelope in the office. Miles slaughtered Cassandra after learning she had the serviette, but Duke saw Miles clearing out her house when news of Cassandra's death was at last discharged. Within the media amid the party, Duke realized that Miles was mindful and endeavored to blackmail him and arranged to induce on Alpha News. This incited Miles to harm him, misusing his sensitivity to pineapple and intentionally handing Duke his drink. A while later, Miles stole Duke's phone and quieted the Google cautions to keep the others from learning about Andy's passing. Additionally, Miles got a chance to grab Duke's gun with which he would shoot. Helen Blanche claims that Miles was imbecilic as he actually stole his speculative scenario of leaving a stacked weapon on a table and after that, turning off the lights. Helen reveals that presently she has the initial serviette to require Miles down, but he oversees to burning of the serviette, disposing of the, as it were, proven against him. At that point, Blanc claims that there's nothing he can do. Sometime recently, taking off the room in cathartic outrage, Helen crushes Miles' glass figures with the rest of them. At last, joining in expansion, Helen lights a blaze and tosses Clear into it. This causes a blast that crushes the glass onion. As Blanc and Derole observe on from the shoreline, Helen makes her way to the Mona Lisa and uncovers it to the fire in the long run, pulverizing it. Realizing crushing the painting will reveal that Claire is perilous and could destroy Miles. All of his companions choose to affirm against him for his violations.